Welcome everybody, my name is François Letarte and this is my channel D30, a channel about tabletop role-playing games. This will be a recap of what I did in Con Plus One. I did want to talk about it. So I will talk a little about the convention and more about the games I ran. Okay, so this year Con Plus One was held last week. If you didn't know about Con Plus One, maybe you don't know about it. Well, it was an online convention and also a charity convention. They were raising money for Child's Play, an organization buying toys and games for hospitals throughout the world, children's hospitals. So it helps the kids have a better stay in the hospital. So, just to open up a little about something here. This is the kind of a cause that might interest me. Myself, I have kids. Some of them may have medical attentions long enough to maybe have some stays in the hospital. I'm very fortunate that the problems they have can be manageable. I know that there are many kids that are in the way worse state than mine. Kids are in really bad shapes, and that's really sad. So if in some way through this I can help them have better days, I think it was worth it. They broke a record. The record compared to what? Well, to Brigade Con, because Con Plus One is kind of the follow-up of Brigade Con, and they broke the record. They raised more money than the highest recipe from one of the last Brigade Con, which is great. Okay, I'm looking forward. Maybe next year I will be there, but I'm looking forward to maybe break this record again at Con Plus 2. For next year. So I'd like to thank personally Jason and Becky, the two organizers I was in contact with. I'm thanking you a lot for making this, putting the effort behind that. It's a lot of work to organize. And you made it, and man, you made it like captains, right? So thank you, Becky and Jason. Right on. So maybe next year I will be there. It depends on the time I will have, but since it's a cause that I like, I'd love to put my own time into that next year by sharing games. Talking about the games themselves. I made two games back to back. Quite a marathon, I must admit. The first game, it was my French session. I'm pretty sure. I think I was the only foreign language game that was offered this year, the only one in French. I must admit that I have made it in French to have the attention of the French gamers, around the globe, and I made out a call to invite them to participate. Fortunately, the call was not answered as much as I would have hoped, but nevertheless, the word has spread out a little. So maybe they encouraged the cause. I don't know. Maybe if I'm there next year, I might be more present, maybe, to invite them. It will depend on the time that I have, but I'm very proud to have at least offered a game in another language. So that was my French game of advanced fighting fantasy. Yes, my friends, Défi Fantastique is the French name of the game. I wanted to treat myself with that. This is my favorite fantasy game of all time, and it still is. Okay, it's the one since a couple of times, and it still is. And that game proved that to me once again. Already choosing this game, I was very happy, looking forward for this game. Like I said, I was making myself a treat. And then came the players, and three of the players are guys that I already knew, great players in all of their own respect. Bruno, Danny, I've played with them before. Bruno, a great player. Danny, a long-time friend. Okay, I knew him way before I was on the internet and decided to join. So I knew where I was going with them. Vincent, I knew him because we were acquaintances on Facebook. You know, we small talked a little on Facebook on occasions. He has a YouTube channel. I followed this channel. I did saw some of the games he made on this channel. So, and I met him in person in conventions in Montreal. So yeah, just small talk again, but enough to make it natural. Okay, I knew what this guy could do, what kind of player he could be, and yeah, I think I knew I was in with something good here. The last player I didn't knew him. He told us that it was some sort of his return to gaming. He has been on a hiatus for many years, so he was coming back with us for the first time in eons. And well, frankly, it didn't show up at all. He was very good. The guy played like a true champion. Even though he didn't have a webcam on, we only had his voice. Well, he was good enough for us that that his voice was just bringing the good gaming he was sharing with us. And yeah, that game. Well, okay. I was looking forward for a great game because I knew that it was to be good with that group. We had some conversations in the weeks before. Since we had a couple of time ahead of us, I asked them, do you want to create your characters? And they said to me, no, we'd like pre-gens. Okay, no problems with the pre-gens, but even with pre-gens, I want them to be happy with their characters. So I asked them, well, what kind of character would you like? So everyone gave me their choice, and one of them, I want to be a fighter, and then the other one, I would like to be a weapon trainer and a musician. And okay, they had some concepts. So I was kind of preparing myself to create characters for them. And throughout the conversations we had on Facebook, someone as a joke said, well, why don't we make a group of dwarves? And the joke stick there. And everyone decided, yeah, let's do a group of dwarves. So they became a group of dwarves. We have that dwarven veteran fighter, that dwarven weapon trainer and musician. We have that dwarven priest of Carolim. And the last one was the human of the group. Yeah, and we made some sort of a background for him, short background. He was adopted by dwarfs. He was a surviving baby of a troll raid on a village. So they brought him to Stonebridge, the famous city introduced in Forest of Doom fighting fantasy book. And he was raised there as a dwarf, so he's considered as one of their brother. So it was already fun before the game started because the conversation really put them in the mood. I was sharing with them some information on the Titan world, and they were taking it. Okay, they were quite serious about that. When the game began, we were all excited, but I never expected to be that home run of a game it was. Okay, in French, in my French games, I have lots of great games on YouTube. But this one, I could easily invite someone to watch this by saying, well, this is an example of a good game. Okay, this game standed out. The players were giving themselves a lot. It was quite a show. As a GM, my interventions were just enough. Okay, I didn't need to go farther than that with my descriptions. I wanted to leave them the stage as much as I could, and they took it, every inches of it. Okay, they were making the show. I knew that they were good players, so I wanted them to show their talents. And being the group of dwarves, which was a little special, well, I wanted them to tell their part of the story from their angle. And it worked so well. The fighting fantasy kind of tone, mood was there. And I was able to bring that. And they were so true, so real. It was a great game, okay? And frankly, I didn't have much written for that game. Okay, I have the big plot in my head. It was, for the plot itself, it was an easy game for me since it was the third time I ran this adventure, one of my creations. So I knew where I was going with that, and it was easy for me to adjust to whatever they were doing and bringing them some challenges. Okay, and they took every bit of it. They were in peril by the end, mostly killed by the boss, but they managed to succeed, and everyone shined into this game. Okay, so it was a fantastic game. I'll make just a short recap of the story just for convenience, since it's in French. If you want to know what the story is all about, well, a big plague has been declared on Atlantia. No one is able to cure it, so they are going to find a cure, because there's a rumored place in the region, in a remote place, that there's a village that is not affected at all in the middle of that, so they have to investigate. So they have been infected themselves. They had to fight many creatures that were completely crazy because of the illness, and they finally found that famous place where all the people aren't affected, and discovered that this place was ironically under the protection of the goddess, a priestess of the god disease. The god is called like that. She was keeping them in good health to help her spread the plague. You know, it was kind of her laboratory to make the plague spread all around. So it was about that, and yeah, they got through it. We were very happy of that. Such a great game. It takes a lot of energy. Yeah, which brings me to the second game of the convention I did, the English one. Once again, it was a winning table. It was a game that I loved, Cortex. I will make a review of it eventually. A great game that I had the joy to really discover through my RPGS project. It was the 8th volume of this project, and this time it was with Cortex. And Cortex is a great game. That's the kind of game I could bring out maybe in the future. I used to play, I will diverge a little, but I used to play Cortex a couple of years ago with Serenity. And I felt that this game was good, but back then I knew that I wasn't running it the right way, because it was a little upsetting the way the sessions were running. You know, I wasn't having the effect I did want. So it was just a matter of practice, because I knew that this game had high potential. But I will rant just a little here, but the Serenity book, in my opinion, it's not well written. Okay, it's hard to read because of the graphic, the image, how the layout of the book, and also the rules are explained like if someone of the Firefly world was explaining the rules to you. Okay, so it kind of too flavorful type of writing. I did want to understand the rules, and I think it was a little harder to understand, so maybe I didn't just catch up back then. But with Cortex, the straight rule book, I understand it all. It was more straight, and I discovered the full potential of this great game, written by Jimmy Chambers. So I will diverge on once again, a little tied to the convention, Child's Play and all that. Well, Mr. Chambers, these times around, is going through tough times. His own daughter, I think she's in her 20s, has got cancer. So she has to go through a lot of treatments and unpleasant things. And these times around, well, he's making some promotion, maybe to get some help, financial help. You can make donations. He has some links and all that. But the guy wrote Cortex, and currently, the current version of Metamorphosis Alpha, the 5th edition, is written by this guy. So in the link below, in the description, I will put a link to his website, where you can buy his stuff if you want, or make a donation if you want. Because, well, myself, with relatives. I got through some that kind of stuff, and it's very hard. It's very hard. You know, it kind of stop your life because you have to help those people who are going through these treatment and those challenges, life challenges. So, frankly, I do wish him the best. Okay, there's hope, and there's lots of hope, but yeah, it won't be easy. And yeah, I wish him luck. And yeah, so you can help him if you want. So, coming back to the con, we were talking about Cortex. I had a great table of players. I was very pleased with what I had. Dave from the Moonblade Gaming YouTube channel, a guy that I have met throughout the last RPGS the seventh chapter. I invited him last time because I was following him on his RPG a day. He was doing it, and at some point, you know, while listening to him, I was just wondering, well, that's the kind of guy I'd like to have around the table. So just casually like that, I just invited him and accepted the invitation. So I was very happy that he was there the first time, and I invited him back for this one, and very pleased to be there. And a great player on its own, you know, a very experienced player. Yeah, everything he brings around the table is just good. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy to have him on my list of players to invite, because I'd like to have him in the future in other projects. And I had Ivan Mike, 1968 channel. What could go wrong with Ivan? Basically nothing. Okay, I know this guy from his YouTube channel. I've played with him a couple of games. We're in this intense campaign of All for One Regime Diabolique, so we are brothers in arms, protecting the France of the 17th century against supernaturals. We got through lots of good games, intense gaming. I can consider this guy a real buddy, a real friend, and yeah, I was more than happy to have him back on this table. So yeah, this made the table more interesting. And finally, Tim, other Tim, maybe you know him by this name. Well, I consider him to be one of my top players I ever played with. Oh yeah, that guy he's great to have around the table. A great player. I used to have him on my Dark Eye campaign. Well, the Dark Eye campaign I was in, and I had the occasions to share with him the table a couple of times, and yeah, it's always a joy. So 3 awesome players. Okay, great game, great players. Well, the Kingdom of Anoran in RPGS is quite fun to run. And also, I already played this game in French a month before, so I was kind of prepared. Okay, so what could go wrong? Well, the game itself was good, but it could have been, in my opinion, better. We were tired. Well, especially me. I gave it all into a game in French just before, and I was kind of exhausted. The game got through, got the plot. Okay, it was just, you know, the on-the-spot reaction to make the things going forward. The switch was not that open because I was just tired. But I think it was coherent, mostly. I had to rewatch the game. I feel that I have fudged some of the parts. Maybe I wasn't unclear. And partly due, well, fatigue added to the language barrier. It just make it worse. The language barrier, you know, it's obvious, okay? I'm not English. It's not my mother language. So I have to translate everything. That is the language barrier. So being tired with the language barrier, I just forget some of the words I might use to explain something. So I felt that at some point I was searching my stuff. But it's just the memory of it. Maybe rewatching it, it will be better than what I thought. You know, it was just on the moment. I felt that I could do better than that. But okay, that's okay. It's part of it. Okay. And the players too were tired. Okay, Ivan is in the same time zone as me, and the game started at midnight. Well, Dave and Tim are more on the western side of the continent, so it was earlier in their day, but nevertheless, it was late evening. But why should I complain, okay? We had fun, we laughed. It's just the tired part, which brings me to some things I have learned through this experience. But we got through, and the experience went on. You know, it was a success as a regard for my RPGS experience, and we have drawn what will be the next one. The ninth session will be Anthony Boyd's Kingdom, Lazet, and the game system is called Sketch. If you want to know what is Sketch, you can find it free on DriveThruRPG. It's 6 pages long, very light. Looking forward to see what I will do with that. What I have learned about this experience this year, well, doing 2 games back to back is exhausting. Well, I knew it. It's just that I admit it this year. It's very exhausting, okay? I gave it all to the first game, and the second game I was just not to my best. And with such good players like Dave, Ivan, and Tim, you know, I want to be my best. You know, I want to give my best, and okay, I was kind of tired. Nevertheless, I think I gave the maximum I could to make this game enjoyable. But it's too much. You know, if I had to do another convention, maybe 1 game should be enough. But it's Con plus 1. I did want to make it in both languages. I wanted to make it in French, to make some sort of a promotion throughout French players. And I wanted to do it in English, just to pay honor to the organization, which is English-based. Okay, I wanted to be that, and I must admit, I like to play with you in English, guys. So I take the occasion to do it. Maybe in another time I could switch back the English before the French if I had to do it again. Okay, so the language barrier, I will have more energy to overcome the language barrier and be more fluid. And when it comes to the French game, if I'm a little more tired, well, will be the barrier won't be there. Okay, I will be able to be more fluid, more natural, and maybe it would help. But at the same time, if I had done that this year, probably I wouldn't have had those tables. Okay, those I had. I'm a very fortunate guy to have those great tables with those great players. Okay, I consider myself to be very fortunate, and I'm thanking you, all of you guys who were on those tables, all of you who have watched the games and enjoyed it. And I have learned some lessons, but I have no regrets to what I have done this year. I did it for the convention, for the good cause, and did it for fun. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. Okay, fun memories are written in there for this 2 games I did. So it was a long ramble, but I did want to do it. Feel free to leave questions, comments. François Letarte, JDR D30, and up to next time, I hope you have as much fun in your life as in your games. Goodbye.